recipe, let me walk you through what are the ingredients we are gonna use. So to start off with, we would be using tomatoes, 2 tomatoes, and they are cut in like large chunks. We would use a fistful of ground nuts. This is my fistful size of ground nuts. So I want it to be a little fatty but not too much. So that's why about this amount. I have got about, 2 large sized onion, because onion is the hero of this particular dish that we are making. So it's about like in chunks in this size. We're gonna use oil, which is like the Asafoetida oil that we are using. We would need dried chilies. So this is like Kashmiri red chilies that I'm gonna use. So I don't want it to be very spicy. I just want it to have the color. That's why I'm using this dried Kashmiri chilies. I have got a couple of curry leaves, which would be needed for the tempering. This is a dried tamarind, which would add like a sour taste to the chutney that we are making. This is salt to taste. This is a few garlic cloves. This is hing, Asafoetida, that we use, which is good for digestion and has got other health benefits as well. And the final thing that we're going to use would be besan. So many of you use chana dal, but I prefer to use the besan, which is easy, and it mixes in the solution or mixes in the chutney very well. And for tempering, we are going to use mustard seeds. That's black mustard seeds that we are going to use for the tempering. So let's get cooking and let's start with the process. With the cooking, we need a pan with a lid like this. So I'm using a non-stick pan, which is easy. So this is the pan. So I'll switch on the the oven or the thing to cook on, and I would let it heat, and I would add just about this much of oil to it. So only for the tempering purpose. So I'm gonna let this oil heat. In the meanwhile, I would prepare the stuff that I need to put it in. So I'll show you what are the stuff that I'm putting in. So this is the oil that I'm adding to it. And once the oil is there, I can see it's a little bit warm. Okay, a little bit on the warm side. So I would give it a little more time to be getting warm. Okay, now that it's warm, I'm gonna add the mustard seeds that I told you that I'll be adding mustard seeds to it. So you can hear the spatter. It's actually spattering. So this means that the oil is actually heated up. So then I would be adding to it the curry leaves. So curry leaves. Again, you can hear it spatter. So it's good. It means that the oil is heated. So I will add the red chillis to it. Okay, so once I add the red chillis, I would let it fry or roast for some time. In the meanwhile, I'm adding the Asafoetida, the hing. If you don't like the flavor or the fragrance of hing, you can avoid this step. But I like the fragrance of hing, so I like to add it. Okay, wow, it's a nice aroma that's coming. So now you just need to fry it for some time. Then you need to add the tamarind, the dried tamarind. I'm gonna use this dried tamarind now. Okay. Then I'm gonna put in the garlic cloves. In goes the garlic cloves. You can put it like that because we will be blending it at the end. So here goes the garlic cloves. And once you add the garlic cloves, let it roast on low flame for a little while, for about 3 to 4 minutes, and let it roast on low flame. So you can see that it's been roasting for a while on low flame, and it's already got the color. So it's like almost roasted very well. So it's time for us now to add the onions. Okay, so we are gonna add the onions to it. So here goes the onions. Okay, once you add the onions, you again need to roast it. Now the entire taste of the chutney depends on how good you are cooking the onions. The onions, some people, you know, roast it till they are like really dark brown in shade. Some people roast it till like they're soft and translucent. What I like to do is, for maximum taste from the onions, I like to roast it till it is translucent and soft, also a little bit brownish as well. So it gives the crunch, the smell of that, you know, crunch, flavor. Also, it adds the translucent, you know, sweetness to the dish. So I would be cooking it for some time with covered lid. Well, I'm cooking it for some time with covered lid, so let it cook. So once it is like about 3 to 4 minutes of cooking, then I'll show you how exactly it will be looking. Okay, so now the onions has been cooking for about good 4 minutes. It is still translucent. It's still not that translucent texture that I'm looking for. So it's the time now to add the ground nuts that we had. So we'll just add the ground nuts so that it can be roasted in this as well. Okay, because ground nuts will take some time to get roasted. So again, once we mix the ground nuts in this entire thing, then we need to again apply the lid. And cook it for some more time. So about like 3 to 4 minutes more. Alright, so now it's been like another 4 minutes of roasting the onions and the other spices in this vessel for getting the maximum taste out of it. So now it's time for us to open it, because the reason why we ask you to cover the lid and roast is because since we haven't been using a lot of oil, when you apply the lid, if you can see that water droplets have been accumulating here, so that also creates the vapor inside, you know, and it actually allows the ingredient to cook and the onions to leave their moist and the oil inside the onions and makes it more tasty and yummy. Okay, so now you can see this is how it looks. It's like almost, as I told you, that I don't like it too translucent. I don't like it too brown in color. So it's like in between. So if you can see that there are some brown strokes on it, on the onions, also on the red chilies and on the ground nuts. It's time for us to add, that's the signal when you can add the chopped tomatoes in it. So it's 2 chopped tomatoes. Some people add chopped tomatoes, some people avoid chopped tomatoes. I like to add the chopped tomatoes in order to give it that sour and tangy flavor. Some people also add a little bit of jaggery or maybe some sweetener or maybe a little bit of, sugar in that case, because they want it little sweet as well as sour or tangy. But I don't like sweet, so I really want it tangy and spicy. That's why I am not adding any kind of sugar or any kind of sweetener to it. So I've added, while I was talking to you guys, I've added the tomatoes in it and I've been stirring the tomatoes in the meanwhile. So you can see the tomatoes are also mixed well. It's time for the salt to go in. So I will put in 1 tablespoon of salt. It's as per my taste, my tongue taste. But if you want, you can put as much salt as required. So it depends on you. Salt to taste, as per you taste, as per your you have your tongue or your mouth, your appetite, whatever it is, how much you are allowed to. So if you are health conscious, if you are not a salt eater, then you can use maybe rock salt or Himalayan salt, because nowadays people are very conscious about salt as well. Salt intake, makes people fluffy and flat, because it happens. It's said that salt intake actually, makes you fat or holds the intake. So that's the reason. So let's just try and look and cook again for another, say about good 2 to 3 minutes, and then finally we will be adding the besan to it, and we will again dry roast the besan. So it's time again to put the lid on. Okay, and let it cook for another 2 to 3 minutes. Okay, so it's another 2 to 3 minutes. It's almost 3 minutes now, and it's time for us to check. Okay, so you can see that even the tomatoes have started melting. So once the tomatoes start melting, it's time for the besan to go in. So it was about a teaspoonful of besan that I have added, and now I'm going to mix the besan very well. Oh my god, the aroma is excellent. You would not be able to imagine the aroma unless and until you try this at home. Try this at home, and trust me guys, you would love the aroma that I'm getting here. So again, it's time that we put this on, cooked on like medium heat for about another 2 to 3 minutes. Until the entire besan is roasted very well. Otherwise there will be a raw smell of besan coming, which will be very nice to taste when you're tasting it with dosa, idli, uttapa, whatever you want to taste it with. Even with oat chilla, I try and use it with oat chilla as well. So that makes it healthy as well as very nice to taste. So now again, let's roast it for some time, and I'll show you how it looks. Okay, it's about 3 minutes again, and oh my god, trust me people, it's amazing. I'll show you a closer view of this. As you can see, it's really colorful, it's really nice, but it's not the end, so you need to just put it on rest now with covered lid. So I'm going to switch off the oven. Okay, the cooktop basically. It's been switched off, and now I'm gonna add the lid to it. Okay, and let it rest for good 20 minutes. So it has to rest for good 20 minutes so that it can soak and absorb the flavors in between, and then we need to give it a nice grind or a mix. So you can use a mixture or a hand blender to make a chutney out of it. I prefer to use a mixer because it's a little thick consistency that I like, consistency of this particular chutney. However, if you like it a little runny or watery, you can definitely use a different type of blender or something like that, like a hand blender or something, to give it a runny consistency. So let us wait, and I will show you in like 20 minutes how exactly I would be blending this and making this into a perfect chutney to be served anytime to kids, to family members, to guests. And this is something which has been used enormously in south of India. So South Indian people would definitely like it. It's just a different twist that I have added to the chutney. Also, what they do is mostly they add the tempering at the end of the chutney. When the chutney is blended, then they finally add the tempering. But because we are making some healthy recipe and health conscious, less oil recipe, so that's the reason I added the tempering at the beginning of it when we were roasting the ingredients. Because when you crush the tempering with the chutney, it's a different taste altogether. Trust me guys, you would not know it unless and until you try. So let it rest for some time, and then I'm going to definitely come back and show you how exactly is the final look and how exactly is the consistency of the chutney looking like. So this is the final look of the chutney. This is the final onion dosa chutney. So this is how it looks. If you can see that it's a nice consistency, and also it has got, like, if you can see the chunks, I'll take it closer. If you can see the chunks of red chili, you can notice that. That's why, because I wanted to feel the spicy and tanginess in my mouth. That's the reason I have not grinded it like very thin paste or a very thin consistency, but I wanted it to be a little more into a coarsely grinded yet very gooey kind of a texture. That's the reason I opted for this medium grind. However, if you want, you can make it to a more fine paste as well, and you can definitely serve it for breakfast, for dinner, for lunch, with onion rava dosa or idli or parathas in that case, because it will act like a chutney as well. So yes, but it tastes best when served with dosa, because it is a South Indian recipe, and it's a South Indian food delicacy, a chutney, which is a must in their diet. It's like a staple thing in their everyday diet. So this is a must ingredient, a must dish in their diet. So if you guys like it, please don't forget to give me a thumbs up, and also don't forget to subscribe and like and share with your friends as well, because when you subscribe and you hit the bell button beside it, it means that you will get notifications whenever I upload new videos, and I upload new videos every week. And yes, that gives me motivation as well to create and research on new food items and bring it to you guys. So the total recipe took me around about an hour's time, including the 20 minutes resting time. If you take out the resting time out of it, it would be around half an hour to prepare this. So it's best to prepare it a night before. If you have a party or something at your house, so you can prepare it at night before and keep it in your freezer, because this stays fresh for almost 2 to 3 days. So yes, you can use it for all purpose. So I will soon come up with my next video, so keep watching. Please don't forget to spread your love by sharing and commenting. If you're using any other ingredient, or if you have any other options, how you make it, please do share it with me. I would be happy to try and let you guys know about it. So till then, see you guys. Take care. Bye bye.